Good afternoon, everyone. We're running about 9 minutes behind schedule for county municipal government, but I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman, Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Chambliss, Senator Elliott.
I am here, ma'am. We got 7 folks here. We have a quorum. First bill on the calendar is Senate Bill 9 by Senator Coleman Madison. Sorry it's taken us so long to get this one on the agenda, but I appreciate our conversation last week, and here we are. If you could present your bill, please.
Thank you, sir. Members, you have in front of you a handout sheet. Basically, this is a Class 1 bill involving the city of Birmingham. That is a Class 1 municipality, but it does have statewide implications if other local governments want to adopt it by ordinance. It is a petition for a judicial rem foreclosure for municipal code enforcement and nuisance abatement on properties or properties that are not owner-occupied. And of course, I said not owner-occupied, but it could be members of a family that's staying in there and they're renting it or what have you. In urbanized areas and probably in isolated areas where you live, well, let me just use Birmingham as an example. I served on Birmingham City Council starting in '85. One of the things I did was we passed what we call a killer weed bill, which allows the cities to go on private property to abate nuisances of private properties, cut the grass and what have you. Subdivisions are building up even in rural areas and things like this. And as a licensed realtor, this is one of those things that I felt that would help real estate, because when you out showing a house, you take them to the scenic route, but let's face it, those families are going to come back and they're going to go and they see, oh, the street over that you didn't take them over to see that. We have some areas, I know I drove through one area in my neighborhood, I counted 6 houses burned, dilapidated, still there. Now, a lot of cities don't have the monies to abate that, but even the properties that are around it, people are trying to maintain their properties. It doesn't do any good because it continues to devalue your property. One year, the city of Birmingham spent $17 million alone abating these issues. And the property problem is that they have no way to recoup that money. Also, as someone who retired from the city of Birmingham, I know that these things are voted on, they're put on the agenda. People are giving notice to come forward to abate the issue themselves to all of these property owners well in advance, you know, to come up. Even when it comes before the council, you can take it off and say, okay, we're going to handle this. They don't. And when they send the notices out, and that's a package that costs them about $6.85 to send out, 90% of them come back. I've gone to the clerk's office and just see bins, postal service bins where it has come back. And that's because these are absentee owners. They are not there. They are not there as far as a record. So what it's creating is blight. It is bringing down property values in the neighborhood. It is a health and safety hazard for young kids who are out. I had to go into an old school that we had, and I saw 2 young girls crawl in a basement. And when I went in behind them, because I'm like, they shouldn't be doing that. And in the basement was all types of drug paraphernalia. You could tell that vagrants had been living in there, sexual objects and things like that. And as I explained, you shouldn't be in here, but that was a situation where they could have been accosted, sexually accosted, murdered, or what have you. Nobody would have even thought about it. So it's a problem. And again, what we're asking for is the right to do something about a situation that is a health hazard, bringing down the property values and causing a lot of problems, in addition to not to talk about the taxpayer dollars that's being spent to try to abate these things and have no way to recoup it. And so basically, this will allow the city of Birmingham to recover unpaid code enforcement abatement liens that have been court ordered by the sale of this property. And we are talking about property that nobody lives on. It still has to go to the court. This would include property that is not owner occupied or legally occupied by somebody that, you know, is deceased. Vagrancy is an issue. I was called to go out to a home where vagrants were living in it. The house caught on fire the next week before we got it. The house caught on fire and burned the house adjacent to it. It is a problem, and we are begging for some relief. And so this bill would give us some relief to this. And as you can see, it says majority of these properties are blighted. We spent thousands of taxpayers' dollars trying to collect this. It is not against the owner, it is against the property. This has to go to court again, and so if and it gives the owner again the opportunity to come forward. We even posted on the property so that, you know, maybe you don't live around it, but your neighbor, somebody know you, say, hey, it's posted on this property. And so we are just simply trying to rebuild communities. I live in an area where the tornado went through, been through 3 of them. We still have a lot of vacant houses. We have some of those houses that are still up. The signs are still there. Because of this, we can't do anything about it. Again, this is a Class 1 municipality bill. It does have statewide implications if local governments decide that that's what they want to do. But this is just asking permission to clean our own house up. So I ask for your support.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Gudger.
Being city council for many years, we had a lot of the same issues in our hometown. Obviously, we're not a number 1 class municipality, but having said that, the penalties that you just went through, I want to make sure I follow this. You've got, you went out, you do a citation or something first, and then you're saying you're going straight into, from what this bill does, is a lien. Is that correct after that? My question is, in like our hometown, we gave a citation for 60 days. If they didn't do cleaned up whatever they needed to their yard, whatever else, then we sent somebody out with a badge and said, you got
Yeah,
your
we have
citation.
inspectors to go out.
Then you have another one for 30 days. If they don't do that, then they go to court. And then after that, then you can kind of go down this road. Is there just one penalty that you go out, and if they don't clean up, then you can go straight into what this bill says, which from what I understand is a lien on
Most
the property?
of these properties have already been through that process. And these are properties, the reason I say it's already been through the process, because again, what this is about is trying to recapture the liens that have already been put on from going through that process. We post the property, and it's posted for about 45 days. It's just out there. It's a sign that they post on the property. It says, okay, maybe the people don't live on the street, but somebody knows who own their property, and you know that they moved. Try to get in contact with them or somebody to let them know something. This has already gone through that process. So here we are. You've got the lien, gone through everything that you've already talked about. We've got the lien that we can't collect from. It still has to go through probate court. So we're asking now that we go through that and be able to foreclose on that property to collect the debt that is owed on the property that the city has already followed that procedure.
So they've already given 2 approximately citations first, and then went to court, and then you're talking about after that happens.
After that happens, it comes before the city council, it's put on the agenda, it is public notice, it is advertised, they have an opportunity to come up even at that particular time.
Okay.
Senator Hatcher.
Mr. Chairman, I think Senator Gudger got my question, because this actually gives it more teeth.
It does.
In terms of being able to actually move on what would have taken place in terms of those steps. The only problem I have is I wish it was Class 2 as well, because I know what we're dealing with here in Montgomery. In fact, I just drove through in North Montgomery, and all of this is exactly what we're dealing with, every bit of it. And so I'm going to be revisiting what we're doing about this as well here to see, because I know we're a Class 2 municipality. But everything you've just described in terms of what it's doing to property value, what it's doing public safety, all of these issues, I've literally just arrived back from driving through North Montgomery and for miles. And I'm talking only a stone's throw away from where we're sitting. So thank you for bringing the bill. And thank you, Senator Gudger, for that clarification, because that was what I wanted to know as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hatcher. Senator Kelly.
Well, I appreciate what you're trying to do with the bill and clean up properties and all, because that's a very real problem, and it hurts property values in all areas when that happens. Yeah, I'm a private property rights advocate, and whenever you can lose this property in about 6 months, and I know that a lot of folks, especially that deal with the elderly, sometimes those cases take several years to get cleared up. I just have a problem with someone being able to lose their property by foreclosure in a government taking, especially something that quick. I understand that the people may not be living in the property, but there's a lot of other means that can be addressed besides that. So I don't have a solution for you, but I do sympathize with the problem because it is a problem that I deal with every day. And I just don't feel like this is the solution. And it'd be easy for you to say, well, what is the solution? And if I had that, I'd be right there with you.
Let me say this, like, again, I want to emphasize, this is a local bill. It just has statewide applications. Every day, every week, I ride through a section in my district, little shotgun house, and one particular time it was 3 of them. Tree was leaning over. I took a picture and I sent it to the mayor. I said, nobody should live in these kind of conditions. Now, if you look at code enforcement, those houses should be condemned. We have not done anything about it simply because we understand that we have a housing shortage. And for that person living there, he may be paying $25, $30 a month, I don't know. But that's all he can afford to live in. We don't right now enforce the codes that we have, so that's not what this is about. This is about those vacant properties that's just been there standing there 10, 15, 20 years. This is something that I've been working on for a long time. When I first got to the State House, I went to Revenue Department and I asked for a list of properties that was in Birmingham, just the city of Birmingham. And that was the time when they had those big computer sheets, with the little hole punched on it. And it was that thick, just Birmingham. These were properties that's been out there 10, 15 years that have never been able to be done about. Most of the houses are just falling down. But we didn't do anything about those houses, again, because we realized to take that house away from the person, and they were renting. So if they are renting, we definitely not. And I wanted to make sure that I told them, I said, I felt the same way. I'm not about taking the property where you got a family member, maybe they don't own the property, but it's a family member that stays there, or maybe they are renting it to somebody. That's not what this is about. This is about those properties that's been out there. And again, you understand what we're saying. We've abated the problem. It's about trying to recoup monies that have been paid, taxpayer dollars that we've been paid. Now, if it's a house that can be rehabbed, yes, that would be something that wouldn't be torn down, and maybe Habitat can come in and rehab and offer that property for a family. But we shouldn't have to beg to clean up our own house. And that's all this amendment does. This really, I was surprised that it was in this committee, but because it has statewide applications. And the reason it being is because I do know that the urbanized cities, and there are about 9 or 10 of them that come together, they meet on a regular basis. This is one of the things, and Senator Hatcher, I think your mayor is one of the things that's been pushing for this. They have come together and agreed that this is an issue. And that's why it has statewide application to it. But again, even where you live, it is up to that local government to adopt an ordinance to agree whether they want to move this forward. So,
One question.
Senator Gudger and then Senator Carr.
Commercial buildings too, or is this just residential?
it might be commercial, but primarily we have to, it's whatever is out there. It could be commercial. If it's a blight and it's caused a problem, if the city has abated that problem, they've got to understand, we don't get any money, the county doesn't get any money, the state doesn't get any money, schools don't get money. These people are not even paying property tax. They just kind of walked off and left it.
Senator Carnley.
I'm not from a large city or a city in general. I live out in the country. You can do what you want to do, and we look at properties like this all the time. But for the most part, no. But I just have a question because I don't know a lot about this, and so my questions are not trying to dismantle what you're trying to do because you know your community, but like Keith said, when it comes to property rights and trying to make sure we don't jump too quick. And again, I'm not saying you've thought through this, but, as I was looking and, trying to ask what what are the current measures? And state code allows, and maybe you can expound a little bit, where it allows any, development authority, housing authority, municipality, to currently take on those properties. I guess I'm asking, it seems like we have a method to do that. And what would this do to allow, what is that law not allowing Birmingham to do today that this one would resolve?
Collection of a debt owed.
So could they not sell this property? Like if they, go through, the current code and they acquire it for the sake of, taking it on and.
You know what? We tried that. Again, remember I said we sent out this package notice with everything, all the documentation in there, and 90% of it comes back. For those people who respond, we can work that out. These people are absentee. They, there's no way to get in contact with them. So you say, well, okay, it's people of record. But when you post it, it is posted on the site. It may be a vacant lot, but it's posted on the site. So obviously you're hoping that somebody, a neighbor, sees it and will contact maybe a family member, say, hey, they got this on. And it stays there about 45 days. So there's ample notice. You're doing everything that you can to try to contact them. But these people, they just walked away. At the same time, you have families and homeowners who are property taxpayers that are being held hostage because it doesn't matter how much I try to fix it up. I can't do anything about what's across the street.
Other comments? Okay, Senator Coleman Madison.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would move and respectfully ask for a favorable report to get this out of committees. And if you all have some suggestions or work on this, but I would suggest that,
I'll second and bring in more amendments on the floor. And
I have a motion in a second, and I have a few comments that I've just kind of held back for a second, and this is something that concerns me mainly because I look at this from a private property rights stance, and it scares me because you're talking about taking people's property, and these folks could be in a hospital. They could be, grandma died and we're trying to get through. I mean, there are all kinds of different scenarios, and it really concerns me. The flip side of that is you have a real problem you're trying to deal with, and it isn't getting any better.
No.
And you're asking for some tools to get that better. And so I am torn on this. I really am, because I see it as a significant increase in municipal authority to take someone's property for a number of different reasons, to lien their property, to perform work on their property, to lien their property, and then to take their property to pay for the work that you've performed. And that scares me. It does. But I also see that nobody else is doing the work, and that you are affecting the property values of those that are around you. You've limited this bill to a Class 1 municipality, and I respect that you are doing that, and I am inclined to, obviously since it's on the agenda, I'm inclined to give you and yours the tools that they need to solve their problem. It is not a problem that I face in my district. I think you've heard Senator Carnley say it is not a problem that they faced in their district. I see a representative from the League of Municipalities, my dear friend, sitting out there, and I would simply say, from my standpoint, I wouldn't go wild and crazy with this new authority, but to the extent that there are problems in this state that my colleagues are trying to adjust, I want to try to give you the tools for that. But it is a significant expansion of authority, and it gives me pause, Senator Gudger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me to vote yes on the floor, which I'll vote yes today, but I want to see what the ordinance says that they've already adopted on the procedures up to this point. I know this is extending it, but I'd like to see what those procedures are there. If I don't have that, I'll be voting no on the floor.
Okay,
But
I'll be
vote yes
happy to
today.
get that to you. I mean, because
Thank you.
every item, like I said, having served on city council, every item comes before the city council on these, and they're listed separately.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. We have all talked on this bill, so I'm going to call the roll.
Senator Albright.
Oh, sorry, Jay.
Senator Carnley.
Respectfully, no.
Senator Coleman,
Aye.
Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Chambliss, and Senator Elliott.
Aye. You heard that, Senator Coleman Madison? Aye. It's okay. Okay. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Coleman Madison. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. Senator Orr. He's in charge of the money, April. I'm sorry. Next up, we have SB 186 by Senator Orr, Chairman Orr. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members, this is a bill, to my knowledge, of first impression in the state. I came across this issue where ranked choice voting, I don't know if you understand it, where you go in and you vote your first priority, your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, fourth choice, however many candidates there are. And the computer takes it, and you basically have the runoff right there at the same time as as your initial vote. And it has caused problems in red states like Alaska, and also in municipal elections. I'm reading
So moved.
from New York. Well, I think it's important. This is the head of the NAACP in New York. Ranked choice voting is not beneficial to minorities. It is voter suppression. Then another election out of California where it says it trends to make disenfranchised, marginalized communities unable to understand and vote accurately. And so I think it causes problems all across the sphere, and I would yield to the motion to give it a favorable report.
I have a motion by Senator Gudger. Do I have a second?
I have a question.
Alaska.
I have a question.
Senator Hatcher, we've had questions about the overarching and wide-ranging authority of this committee, and I see no reason why we shouldn't have anything to do with Alaska as well. Let me get a second for the bill, and then we'll get to discussion if we can. Do I have a second? I have a second by Senator Carnley. Okay, discussion. Senator Coleman, you're recognized.
Senator Orr, are we trying to find a problem for your solution?
No, we're making sure it doesn't come here. I understand there is a county that does this already.
In Alabama?
Alabama, yeah.
How did they do this with
Maybe
the last election? I mean, they did it since it's in effect.
I believe so. I believe Senator Weaver made me aware of it.
Did they have to come before this body for permission to do
I
that?
think so.
How does that?
Senator Coleman Madison, if I may, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman, I'll hop in here real quick. I believe it's Chilton County, if I'm correct, and they have a kind of a hybrid version of this, where it's not necessarily I want Senator Hovey, and if I can't get Hovey, then I'll take Elliott. Okay, I mean clearly that would be their order of their vote, but if we can't get there, then they kind of go through that. In Chilton County, I think you get to use all your votes on one guy, and so they say instead of saying, hey, I've got 7 to pick from, I'd like to vote for Senator Hovey 7 times.
7 times?
Yeah, so they just fill it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and give everybody all. It's a very odd way.
And then you have some cities. I don't know where most of these towns are, but some city councils are elected like this. And then of course, you have in California they call it the jungle primary, where I think you R's and D's, and everybody runs together. And that's where they wound up with the baseball player, Steve Garvey, and who was it? Adam Schiff won, but you really had more Democrats underneath that, were not, they had a lot more than Garvey had. So,
Okay,
anyway.
let me ask you a quick question. So why, prohibit the use of any ranked choice voting in elections except for electors who vote by absentee? So why are we making an exception here, though?
I think that's for military ballots when you have to, you can't get it back and forth in time. And there was an issue when this bill was in other states for the military, and they had to go ahead and vote on a second round as if there was a runoff.
So, though I guess I can appreciate what you're trying to do, but we seem like we're creating a dual system to address a problem that we don't have.
I would, like I said, I got a list of cities and then the Chilton County Commission and Board of Education. And I've got a list of cities
That do
here
this
in
right now.
Alabama.
So this would prevent them from doing that now.
Correct. Just do it the old-fashioned way.
Did we ask them, any of these cities, about why they use this? What's the advantage? I mean, I don't know because we don't use it, but I would be interested in finding out the impact of our decision on those cities who made that choice to use this option. Have we done that?
No, we have not.
We should do that.
Should we?
Come on now, guys. Yeah, we should be fair because then they go.
If I had to guess,
We're in the middle of an election
if I
season
had to
right
guess,
now.
it saves them a runoff. The problem of dealing with.
Right. It saves the taxpayers money. As the budget chair, we ought to be interested in saving money. And so those
That's
cities
right.
are doing things that,
But you
I
can
need a little bit more
manipulate it, too.
information. I really
Okay.
need more information about how this is going to
Be
impact.
glad to get with you.
Okay, committee, I've got a motion, second. Any further discussion on it? Okay, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman, Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison,
I'm going to have to vote no. I need to find out what these cities need to hear
Senator
from them.
Chambliss, Senator Elliott.
Aye. Okay, bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Chairman Orr. Okie dokie, we're gonna get back on the agenda here. SB 88 by Senator Weaver. Welcome, Senator Weaver. And guests,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
So, first of all, let me start off by saying I am a huge advocate for our fire service here in Alabama, both volunteer and professional. I appreciate the work that all of them do, and certainly enjoyed having all of them in the discussions about this bill recently. Before I start, I do want to say that we have an amendment that should be there in front of you that is going to be offered later that I think will answer some of the concerns that have been voiced over the
So Senator Weaver, let me stop you real quick. Committee members, just so we're all organized and on the same page, there's going to be Senator Hovey's going to offer the amendment. It is in your packets. Can you explain the amendment real quick, Senator Weaver, and just kind of let us know and then explain your bill?
So, first of all, I'll explain the bill a little bit. It's about workforce development. We realize the importance that fire plays in the whole state of Alabama, especially in rural areas. When you go out, if you have a car accident or a medical emergency, many times volunteer fire is the first responder that is there, as is in urban areas for professional firefighters as well. We recognize the importance that they play in our communities. And as we've had discussions about workforce, there's a big concern that are we growing the next generation of young people to fill these slots, because we see deficits in people being engaged in these occupations. So as we looked at this, we had the original bill that the presiding officer of the Senate would appoint one certified volunteer firefighter who's experienced in mentorship and training of aspiring the next generation of firefighters, so that they could give our workforce groups recommendations on what it is that we need to do to be engaging these young people for these occupations. Since that time, we realize, I've talked to a lot of fire chiefs, they have the same kind of issues with professional firefighters, and we also should be growing our next generation for professional firefighters as well. So the amendment allows also for the appointment of a paid firefighter to also look at growing the next generation.
So Senator Weaver, just so I'm clear, when it comes to the makeup of this board, with the amended version, there is a parity between paid firefighters, our professional firefighters, and our volunteer firefighters. Is that
Certainly, we
correct?
did not want to get into any of the politics of the board. We didn't want it to have an even number and cause issues. So that's why we brought this amendment, is to keep the makeup virtually the same by adding a volunteer firefighter and a paid firefighter who are both going to be focused on mentorship and being able to give us recommendations on how we should focus on the next generation.
Thank you, Senator Weaver. Senator Hovey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Senator Weaver bring this before us. I would like to introduce an amendment to our bill. Senator Weaver did a great job. Very, very brief and easily explained. the addition of the professional perspective on the board as well as the volunteer in this effort to recruit and train, up and coming new potential firefighter recruits. She also mentioned, that also puts it at an odd number, which I think is always a good notion on a committee. So it's been well explained, but that's my amendment I'd like to propose.
A motion by Senator Hovey, a second by Senator Kelly. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Okay, clerk, call the roll on the amendment.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman, Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey,
Aye.
Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Chambliss, Senator Elliott.
Aye, okay. We're on the amendment now, we're on the bill now as amended. Is there discussion on the bill, Senator Coleman Madison?
Thank you, sir. I see the firefighters that are sitting in the back, so I would like to yield just to hear what they have to say so that, since they came here.
And
If we could get maybe just one person to.
And Senator Coleman Madison, I appreciate that. I am on a time schedule and I am trying to move through this. This is a simple piece of legislation.
I know,
It is adding two members.
I
Senator-
support it, but we are government by the people, and I do not want to say that their voices were squashed. So if we, Mr. Chairman, I request that allow one person to just express, because as I understand, they are not opposed to this. They just want to express, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This, they're the ones going to be out there addressing this when people are called, not us. So I want to hear from their perspective, just like Senator Orr. I said, I want to hear from the citizens that this is going to impact, even though it's not people that I represent.
Are there any further comments or questions? Senator Gudger.
Senator Weaver, so this I thought was just putting one particular firefighter on the board, but you're putting one paid and one volunteer on there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So it's fair on both sides?
That's correct, with the addition of the amendment.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Thank you.
Senator Allen, earlier you had some discussion on this piece of, Senator Coleman Madison, I'm just let me work through my committee if I may. I've heard you. Senator Allen, you had some concern about this bill earlier on, and I offered to you to speak in committee if you would like to. And so I would like to ask if you have any comments.
I would yield to the firefighters because they're here. They made a.
So Senator Allen, that's interesting, but that's not what I'm offering, sir. What I'm offering is if you would like to say something, then I would let you do that. Well, let's stand in front of the microphone so we can hear you.
I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but the fire college was housed at Shelton State Junior College, and we as a body, legislative body, House and Senate approved a major piece of legislation that moved the fire college on its own entity. They created a board, okay, and so the fire college is located in Tuscaloosa. It's located in Senator Bobby Singleton's district, and gotten several calls that the current situation, and the board is very pleased and happy the way it's working, and so that's.
And you think adding 2 members to this board would be detrimental to that?
Well, according to the conversations I've had, they like it like it is.
I understand. Do you think adding 2 members to this board would be detrimental to this board?
I do think that the chemistry will be somewhat astute. Yes.
Okay. Are there any further comments on this matter?
I really would like.
I know, ma'am, I'm trying to manage a clock. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to manage a clock. This is a binary choice of
Mr. Chairman,
do you want to add one?
The president is here today.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The president of the fire college is here to argue.
The chairman.
The chairman of the board is
chairman.
here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Come on up. Okay, so the bill is as amended before us now has 1 professional firefighter being added and 1 volunteer firefighter.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. I am Scott Pilgrim. I'm your state fire marshal. I also serve on the Public Personnel Standards and Education Commission at the Fire College. I am the chair. I'm open to any questions by the committee.
Are there any questions? Senator Hatcher.
Well, I guess the question is, would you have an issue with the additional 2 individuals?
I'm going to be careful with this answer. It is not purpose of the commission that I represent to speak in favor or against a piece of legislation this body is wanting to consider. You know, it's our job to follow the law, whatever that law says. Now, to answer your question as best I can, in 2012, when the current configuration of the commission was established by the legislature and the governor, the members there now, currently, represent the fire service, in my opinion, across the board, both volunteer and career. And I believe the system that was set forth in 2012 works extraordinarily well. Beyond that, that's all I can tell you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman, Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, because I'm confused.
Yes, sir.
I'm utterly confused.
Okay.
I'm at a point where because I was prepared to vote yes on this, but if there seems to be an issue with an additional 2 individuals, and I need something better than chemistry being the problem, because that's too abstract for me. What we need to know is what would be the issue with having 2 additional individuals? Because if I don't get that information, I am going to go into the deep dive to discover what that is, because we need to know what that is at this point. And I appreciate what the chairman has just said, and I understand his position. But obviously, if this has been suggested, it is either a remedy to something, or it's offering this as an opportunity for more of whatever it is that would happen that would contribute to the services that we get so brilliantly from our firemen. So I need to know what that is.
He didn't say, Senator Hatcher, and again,
And that's the problem.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm looking at this going, this is simple. This is adding 2 members to a board. This is a body created by this legislature. You have a senator standing in front of you that is asking to increase this board by 2 individuals. She has added an amendment to her bill to allow for that to be between 1 professional firefighter, 1 volunteer firefighter, to the extent that there is some internal politics. The reason I was trying to be judicious with our time today is, to me, this seems a very simple concept. And so I was trying to move forward with that. Senator Weaver, can you expound on this at all for us? Because again,
I have met with everybody who wanted to meet with me. I've asked the same questions. They don't like it, but they can't tell me why. And I said, all we care about is doing the best we can for this state. This is such a crucial, this is workforce development. I can't answer that for you. To me, I'm like the chairman. It's a simple bill.
So we're voting to expand it
to add 2.
Yes.
Yeah, Senator Hatcher votes yes. Continue with the roll, clerk.
Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison,
Aye.
Senator Chambliss, Senator Elliott.
Aye. Okay. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Weaver.
May I ask a special favor? And may or may not be something you will do. Any chance you would let me do my next one while I'm up here so that I can run downstairs and get my confirmations packets and get back up here?
Of
to follow you?
course, Senator Weaver.
Sorry.
Next bill on the calendar is Senate Bill 168 by Senator Weaver.
So I had hoped this would be a really simple bill as well, but based on what just happened, I'm not so sure now. Under existing law, a municipality may authorize the incorporation of a commercial development authority for the purposes of acquiring, owning, and leasing projects as defined for the purpose of commercial development in order to encourage commercial enterprises to locate, expand, and improve facilities in a municipality.
I have a motion by Senator Hatcher. I have a second by Senator Kelly. Any questions for the sponsor? Any objections to using previous role? Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Weaver. Good luck with your committee.
Thank you.
Okay, is Senator Beasley here? There he is. Oh, you're keeping questionable company over there, Senator Beasley. Senator Beasley, you have SB 161 before us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. What this bill does is authorize county sheriffs to conduct fundraising activities to increase revenue within their counties for their sheriff's department.
So moved.
Offset some. Thank you.
I have a motion by Senator Hatcher, a second by everybody, but we're going to give it to Gudger. Any objection to using the previous roll? Okay. Senator Beasley, great bill, receives a favorable report. Thank you,
members of
sir.
the committee.
Senator Barfoot, you have SB 162.
I know y'all are pressed for time, so I'd entertain a motion for favorable.
I move quickly, but come on.
This is a study commission that's been in effect for the past couple of years, had an opportunity to serve on at different state agencies. And what they do is they try to collaborate the best way to reduce recidivism, look at that, put workforce training in place. And so I think it's a good study commission, and this just gives it another year of life. So
I have a motion by Senator Hatcher, a second by Senator Kelly. I have one comment. It appears that there is appointment available to the Judiciary Chairman. Is that correct? And I want to make sure that there is no set of circumstances that leads to my appointment to this commission. Are we okay?
we can pass this bill out, and you won't be on that commission.
Okay. Is there any other comments? I have a motion to second. Any objection using previous roll? Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Absolutely. Okay, last bill on the calendar, HB 121 by Representative Carnes. Is there anybody here from representing Representative Carnes? Okay, I got it, unless you want to do it. Go ahead, sir. You said no. Okay, this is HB 121, the Whistleblower Protection Act. Let me get it in front of me here. I'm shooting from my hip, guys. Please forgive me. This is going to be tab 7 in your book. If you'll look at the one-page piece of legislation in front of you there, it provides that the supervisor of an employee may not discharge, demote, transfer, or otherwise take adverse employment action against the employee in retaliation. I have a motion by Senator Coleman Madison, second by Senator Hatcher. Any objection using previous roll? Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
Y'all make sure.